Hello, how are you? Welcome to this WaveLab Cast webinar. And we have a few questions already. You guys are on the ball tonight. What's going on, man? You're straight out of the blocks. It's all good. Listen, hi, how's it going? I'm Keith. How's it going? Hi, Jerome. Hi, Tinder Clang. How are you doing? You all well? Great. So, Tinder Clang, you were asking me straight away, can you export your cast as lossless WAV? Yeah, there's loads of formats that you can output your final master, let's call it, to. Lossless MP3s, there's AACs, you name it, you can output it. You can see it as you output or you render your final show. You get the option to output in loads of different formats. And those formats and the output settings, I see that you're on the big WaveLab Cast already. So yeah, you'll recognize the export options, you know. Jerome, how's it going? Robbie Keane, how are you? You well? Didn't think you'd make it. How are things over there, man? Are you all good? I hope things are all well with you. Doesn't possible to connect a USB microphone on WaveLab? Do you need an audio interface? No, listen, it's WaveLab. It'll pick up practically anything. You know, so grab your USB microphone, throw it in there. Absolutely, it will take it, you know. Then your output has to be, don't forget your output, will have to be the headphone or the output of your USB microphone, just so as you can hear yourself, all right? So what are we going to be doing in here? We're going to be doing lovely stuff. It's going to be great. So there's an awful lot of people out there that kind of feel themselves that, you know, geez, I'd love to be a bit creative about stuff, and you know, they don't have the confidence to do it, they don't have the will to do it, they don't have, you know, that's for somebody else. I don't think I could do that, you know. But to create something is just such a wonderful thing, and I'm sure each and every one of you out there you all have your own interests. Whether it's, I don't know, watching paint dry, or fixing up old vintage cars, or baking to your heart's content, or whatever. And you want to reach somebody with the same kind of interests, and you can do that via a podcast. And a podcast is, like most of you will know, but for those that don't, it's like a little radio show that's available to you anywhere. You can pick it up on your phone, you can pick it up on your, I don't know, computer, tablet, if you have a Google Home or an Apple Home or one of these things, and you're listening to very specific kind of radio shows dedicated kind of to your interests. So imagine I'm into my rugby, so I just go off and I'd find myself a rugby podcast, or science, or I don't know, economics, you name it. There's millions of them out there. Well, there's about 600,000 out there in various languages, okay? And they're all active at one time. So you can go out to just your browser at home, and you can open up your browser and you can listen to podcasts from there. You can listen to them anywhere. But if you did find yourself looking to create a podcast for yourself, that's what we're here for tonight. And that's what we're going to be here for on the last Thursday pretty much of every month. And what we'll do is we'll start off with the absolute basics. And if you guys have any questions, hi Jerome, thanks a million. Jazzy Lamel, hello there from Teaneck, New Jersey. How you doing? Brilliant. So if you have any questions, okay, we're going to pair it right back tonight, okay? And if you have any questions, no questions are stupid. Whatever you think you might need to say, there's definitely somebody else in here thinking the same question but feeling a bit, oh, should I or shouldn't I? Okay? Don't worry about it. Just ask the question and I'll do what I can to help you on that. All right? And what we'll do is we'll have a look at how we interface everything, how we go about looking at starting off a podcast, what you need for a podcast, probably the best situations to record your podcast and your bits, your interviews, your voiceovers, your, I don't know, bits to camera maybe, or any other content creation, okay? And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you try and find your way around that quagmire, you know, because it can be very daunting. You know, there's an awful lot of people out there, you know, don't even know how to plug in a microphone, don't know what an audio interface is, don't know what a handheld recorder is, you know. And I kind of get an inkling of what you're going through, because I do educational videos and I lecture in colleges as well. So when I'm asked to lecture second year students in audio production and second year students in media production, I'm expecting, oh yeah, that's grand. I'll walk in there, they'll know what I'm talking about. Not even these guys know necessarily what we're talking about all the time, about all the aspects of audio production, be that content creation, podcasts, or TV and film production, okay? Because there's an awful lot of cross-pollination in there, you know? So we'll look at the nitty-gritties, the absolute minutiae, if you want to go pare it right back. For anyone out there who doesn't know what a microphone is or how you plug a microphone into a computer. And we'll have a look at this thing. And I want to show you this thing. Where am I going? I'm going over there. This is what they call WaveLab Cast. And the reason we're looking at WaveLab Cast here is, not only is it the WaveLab Cast channel, but there are loads of functions in this WaveLab Cast that help you get that super duper sound together. So I listen to an awful lot of podcasts, okay? And there's huge issues with an awful lot of the audio that I've been listening to. Now, that's not just me coming from a professional's backgrounds. Really, you know, when you're sitting in a bathroom and you're doing a voice, or you're sitting in we'll have a listen to different types of rooms that really affect how you're recording the voices, how you're recording your interviews. And when people are at home listening to this and the sound is grating on their ears, it's not brilliant. You'll lose your audience in a heartbeat. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the functions of WaveLab Cast, because WaveLab Cast helps you clean up audio. It helps you enhance the audio. It helps you make your sound so much better, but without all the big knobs and I don't know, sliders and everything that all this professional gear might have, and would be so daunting to you. Do you know? So what we're going to is we'll look over the next few sessions. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of WaveLab Cast and how it can help you sound really, really well at the end of the day, no matter where you're doing your recordings. Now, we will look at where you're doing your recordings tonight with a view to helping, you know, if you start at level 10 as opposed to level -2, then you're in really great shape to start sounding and producing something that people really want to know about. You know what I mean? People can sit down and listen. So if it's not brilliant, you know, they may actually listen for 10 minutes as opposed to 5 minutes if they go, oh, that's awful recording. I can't hear what he's saying, or it's bad levels between the two people that are talking, or he's distorting, or she's, you know, anything can happen in the next 5 minutes. So we're going to try and fix that. So Robbie's saying, even in video, bad audio is the worst. So do you know what it's all about? And I've said it to Robbie before because we've talked about this. Hiya, Wayne. How's it going, man? Good to see you. How are you doing? Good, man. I saw that thing there earlier. Couldn't make it. Sorry about that, man. Hiya, Kevin. How's it going? Kevin Stanley. How do I know Kevin Stanley? Anyway, what I was saying to you, just in response to Robbie Keane there, right? And Robbie, you've heard me say this before because I've done these things before. It's all about, and I'm all about, the message, okay? The message is what you're trying to convey, okay? And if you're not conveying that correctly to the people and helping them as best they can to understand it, your message isn't being carried across. it's not working for them and it's not working for you. So the better we can get that message conveyed properly, the more people you're going to garner. The more people that are going to go, oh wow, I love fixing up vintage cars. And there's this guy and he does a vintage car podcast, or there's this girl, she does a vintage car podcast. And you know what? They start talking about the content. And if you got good content, great. But if you got the best content in the world about vintage cars and nobody can hear you properly, or it's really grating on their ear, they'll listen to you for 10, 15, 20 seconds, maybe 35 seconds. Then they're gone. You've lost them. But if we can get to a position that we can get them listening for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, listen to the whole show. Now your super content is being carried forward to people. Then they go, I heard your one and our vintage car podcasts. You gotta check it out. So everyone's winning. So you're getting more listeners. They're getting all your content. Everyone's a winner. Brilliant. And it's easily done in WaveLab Cast. Okay? So if you want to learn more straight away, okay, because we're not going to be able to get into the nitty gritty and everything else tonight, okay, go on to the Steinberg website. Let me just show you here. So this is steinberg.net/wavelab/cast, because WaveLab Cast is part an iteration of WaveLab, which has been around for a few years. There's WaveLab Pro, WaveLab Elements, and we're on WaveLab Cast, okay? And you'll get loads of information on here, okay, about what it can do. There's a couple of videos as well, and also in this WaveLab channel, you'll see how-tos, you know, cleaning up your audio. We'll go through it, and I'll walk through all that sort of stuff with you as well. So if you have any questions on the flies, I know myself, if I'm watching some of these YouTube videos, it always evokes a question here, a thought there, and we'll go through it together. Okay? That's what we're here for. We're here to have a bit of fun, a bit of crack, as we say in Ireland, and have a look at this WaveLab Cast and how it can help us as a tool, as a creation tool, you know? So, are we all ready? Are we all happy? Jerome, how are you? All in France, and we have Robbie from the States, and we have Wayne from the UK. Kevin, where are you, man? And we have a few more people in here. This is great. Great to see us. Thanks a million for joining us. This is so exciting. I haven't done this in a while. I was doing a series all last year during lockdown, and it was great. We had so much fun. It was brilliant. And here we are again. And we'll just start, you know, looking at a few things. As I say, any questions, right? No matter how stupid you may feel they are, there's always somebody else in there going, oh, I didn't want to ask the question. They're asking the exact same question as you are. All right? So, what does WaveLab Cast do? Okay, so WaveLab Cast is all about, and we talked about it before, podcasting. Okay? It's got super simple functions to make you sound really good from the get-go. Okay? We're not talking about, oh, Canada, good man, Robbie. Been too long, I know, Wayne, I know. Anyway, listen, we'll be doing it again. We're doing it last Thursday every month, okay? Brilliant. Jazzy Lamel, what's the difference between WaveLab Pro and WaveLab Cast? Okay, so WaveLab Pro is Seriously Pro kit, okay? And Seriously Pro kit for mastering and doing all sorts of audio processes, okay, on a professional level. So I'd be using WaveLab Pro for what I'm doing in my professional day, okay? WaveLab Cast is, let's say, a little brother or a little sister or a sibling of WaveLab and WaveLab Pro, okay? And the reason why it's got its own little area is because it's got functionality in there. And we'll go through, I'll just skip over a couple of things just verbally while we can, so we don't get into the nitty gritty of what it does to help. Because there's an awful lot of functions in WaveLab Pro that are just up there and going to freak an awful lot of people out. So if they sit down to produce a podcast on WaveLab Pro, it might be a little beyond them, okay? It could very well be beyond them, especially if they haven't sat down to a DAW before, a digital audio workstation, okay? Whereas WaveLab Cast pares all that back. It takes out all the crazy knobs and buttons and sliders that could kind of freak people out from the get-go, okay? So let me just show you just a couple of little functions here, okay? So one, you can bring your video in. So imagine you were producing content creation in your iMovie or your, I don't know, DaVinci Resolve, okay? And you were really happy with your edit, but the functionality, the audio functionality in your iMovie, or do they still do Windows Movie Maker? I can't remember. But anyway, so if you did do a video for YouTube or whatever else, you can do your post-production audio in WaveLab Cast, okay? And you can get to use all the super simple functions for your final master before you publish to YouTube, Vimeo, wherever it's going, okay? One oriented pro audio production, one optimized for podcast creators. Exactly. I could never say it better myself, Robbie. So just not just podcast creators either, Robbie. You know, I mean, for content creation of any sort, you know, if you're, I don't know, if your dream is to sit there and create something extraordinary with sound, and you go out and you record something on your phone, or you go and record something on the bus, or you record something somewhere, you know, you can throw it into WaveLab Cast and get it nice, clean, keep it going, clean it up, mix it with your music, put in your music, take out music, edit your sound, put them all together, and produce some sort of content. Whether that content is going to YouTube, whether that content is going to Spotify, or it's a podcast, or you're just playing it to your granny down the road because she's your favorite audience, and it doesn't matter because, you know, she is the one that you wanted to play it to. She's an audience, okay? It might be your granny, it might be your family, whatever else. You mightn't want to go to the mega stages of YouTube or somewhere else. You might just want to create something beautiful and play it for your pals, okay? And you can do that. You can do that easily in here, okay? So let me just have a quick overview of the interface. Okay, here you go. There's audio. We got video in there. So we made our video. This is just to show you the bells and the whistles. Okay, so we made a beautiful video in iMovie. We brought in our audio from iMovie. We have our video in there from iMovie, imagine. And I'm finding myself then recording my voiceover. There's a bit of voiceover. There's a bit of voiceover. And there's a bit of interview, imagine. And with that, I can grab these, I can drag them around, and I can put them exactly where I need them to go, okay? But underneath here, I've got music playing as well. So now I have music, and I can bring in sound effects. I got my voiceover going on. I got my interview going on there, yeah? And that's all well and good. So now I've edited all my music, because you can take any of these audio pieces and you can do pretty much whatever you want with them. Now I'm staging those. I got my intro, I got my first bit of interview, I got my response to the interview, and then I got another interview. Imagine, okay, just for pig iron, okay? So with this, and let me show you the simple tools that we're talking about. If I select my, if I select that track, okay, I'm just going to go over to my track inspector, and you can see there, if I click off that, you see different lights coming on. So I'm just going to turn these on, okay? And this section basically is the track inspector, and that'll do loads of cleanup stuff for you, okay? So you're talking about a de-hummer. Let me just grab my glasses, because you know what? I can't see a thing nowadays. So we got a de-hummer. So what's a de-hummer, right? So imagine you were recording and there was some electrical issue in the building, sometimes you get at 60 hertz going through all your recordings, and that'll just pull that out for you. Then you got a denoiser. So if there's loads of noise, like imagine a window open in a building and you get all that noise from outside, or you get aircon going, this will reduce that amount by that amount on your recordings. So it's just cleaning up your recordings from the get-go. Okay, so you did the interview, you didn't realize when you were in the room that there was aircon going on, you stepped out of the room and you heard all that on there. And I was desperate because, you know, you go and you do so much work to get the interview right, the content right, the questions right, and then you walk in there and the audio's not right when you bring it home. It's a disaster, okay? That's what this is here to help you with. So if I did want to get some denoising on there, I click that, I do the amount of reduction I want, listening very carefully to how much you're putting on. So you're not affecting the timbre or the quality of the audio. Imagine you put on loads of that. You could be crushing down your sound. So just be aware of how much you're doing. And you know what? That brings up a really interesting point, or a really important point. While I'm talking to you about, sorry, I'm just going to go over to this scene. Me switcher's over here. I should switch up something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So a really important point is what I'm doing here tonight is kind of just giving you an overview of stuff. Okay? The overview of stuff that I'm giving you can only go so deep. And I always say it to my students in college and wherever I'm teaching, whether it's online or whether it's physically in the room. Unless you're doing it for yourself, unless you're dipping your toe in, unless you're making the mistakes, those mistakes, whatever they are, okay, you come home with a completely distorted interview and you have to go and do it again. Don't worry about it. I know it's stressy on the day. I know it's upsetting and you're going, freaking out. What I'm saying to you is don't worry about it. That is an absolutely super important learning thing, because you won't go out and do it again. You won't do the same thing. It's super important to make those mistakes. It really is. So don't be worrying about it. So what I would love you guys to do, if I just show you here, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to show you here. So you can go onto the WaveLab Cast website and download a trial. See the trial there? So if you and I finish up tonight, we're going to finish up in, I don't know, a half hour or so. I can't necessarily get into all the nitty gritty, okay? So download the trial. And if you download the trial, you got it in front of you. And then have a play with it during the week and the week after. And do me a favour, right? If you're curious about something, you're going, oh, what is that going on there? How do I get that? Keith was talking about such and such. No problem. Scribble it down on a piece of paper, okay? So then when we come to our show next month, you'll have all the questions ready for me. Yeah? And then we'll just lash through that and it'll be great. Happy days. Sai. Listen, I'm desperate with pronunciation of names, so please forgive me if I get the names completely wrong. Drafter music, that's easy. This is very useful. Listen, Drafter, no problem, man. I mean, if there's anything you want to know, please ask me. Please ask me. It'll be all good. We're all here. We're all friends. We're all having a bit of crack. It's all good. Happy days. Okay, so let's have a wee look at this. Oh, yeah. WaveLab Cast. That's what we're here for. Now we're getting there. So there's a de-esser. And imagine a de-esser, right? So if I'm really sibilant with my S's and T's, it can be really grating and hard to listen to after a while. So they put in a de-esser. Excuse me. And you see, you got the amount of reduction, and you can check out just... If you click on listen, you can hear just the things that it's affecting. Okay, so you can really get into the nitty gritty there. But it's a super simple thing. You just bring up your reduction. Okay, then we get a vocal exciter, and a vocal exciter brings in a bit of dynamics into the voice. You know, people's dynamic voice doesn't necessarily happen all the time because people's presenting and stuff. Okay, it brings in a bit of something else. Okay, let's not get into the nitty gritty of that because people are going to start freaking out. Okay, we got a reverb. You know, when you walk into a cathedral or a hall, you can hear the wham, bam, 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 you know, and you could use that reverb for some sort of special effects if you wanted to. Okay, so it's there, it's brilliant. Then we get a really important one, and that's the EQ. The EQ basically brings up the complexion of the voice. Imagine I was way too bassy, or something like, it was way too trebly, too toppy, too thin. The EQ helps you with that because you can just increase the level of the bass end or the top end or the mids, okay? And they basically makes the voice warmer and more palatable to the ear, okay? Brilliant. And then we get a maximizer. A maximizer just kind of brings up the level of everything just to give you a good, bold response and reduces the dynamics of a really quiet delivery versus a really loud. And you can see that in your waveform. So it just kind of maximizes and balances out your level. Robbie Keane. There you go, Robbie. You're the man. So experience is the name we give our mistakes. Lessons learned that way will always stick in your brain. Nothing better than hands-on. Free trial is a brilliant way to start a journey into audio. Unbelievably so. Okay? And you know what we're going to do? I'm going to give you a few pointers how to get your own audio. Okay? For when you download the trial. Okay? You download the trial, open it up. What am I going to do? Well, you go to your file and you go to new, okay? And when you go to file and new, it'll set up a new session for you, okay? So let's just have a real quick look at that now. This is what you get. And it's asking you, what do you want to make? And how do you want to make it? So bit depth, let's go 24-bit. Don't worry about these numbers, okay? If we don't know what we're talking about in here, we can always go to templates. And these templates give you options of how to create your session from the get-go, okay? And with the audio files and customs, we can set up a stereo session, okay? So a stereo session is basically our workspace where we bring our audio in. And if we need to bring in that video, that's where we bring it in. And we go to create it, okay? So in podcast, and then we're going to new. Remember, file, new, audio waveform or audio montage. We're going to go there, and we have all sorts of templates in here. An audio file is literally just working on the one file, okay? Whereas our audio montage is the whole gamut. Like, you know, remember we were looking at the voiceover, the interview, the music. That's our montage that we want to work to, okay? And we get loads and loads of different templates here. Is it the host and one guest? Or is it the host and two guests? So if I double click on that, suddenly WaveLab Cast sets up the whole setup for me, okay? So now I have a base to start working to already. I don't have to worry about these things. You wish I did Nuendo live stream. What? Oh, Gonny Mackers. Where did you get that now? How am I meant to pronounce that? I just about got Jerome. Okay, so can I call you Ifte? If I call you Ifte, will that be okay? Because I will never get the rest of that, man. I apologize profusely. Wish I did Nuendo live streams. I use Nuendo all the time. It's fab. Love, love, love. I'm just going to have a drop of tea. Thank you. Keeps the life in you. Anyway, you never know. Ifte. Do you mind? Program is a help menu if people get stuck. Thanks, Robbie. Of course it is. There's a help up the top here. If you have a look and you get stuck at all, okay? See the WaveLab help? That'll bring you to a little web page, and you can type in all the questions you want. You can type in any of the terms you want, because if I roll over, say this, see that little pop-up? That'll give you a clue as to the term you may need to look for. Okay? Anam. Anam. Can I call you Anam? Brilliant. Happy days. So let me just show you here a couple of little things, okay, for when you download the trial. See this little circle? This is one track. Okay? This is another track. This is another track. And they work independently. Okay? So when you're looking at loads and loads and loads and loads of tracks, don't freak out. Okay? Let's just look at the individual tracks as we go. Okay? So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to go to the Steinberg demo. See, I still have 3 tracks in here. And they're all doing individual jobs. Okay? You can see all that. Okay, brilliant. There's my voice. Imagine that's my voiceover. Imagine from my SD card, because I went out and I recorded something and I brought it into WaveLab Cast. That's my interview, imagine. Okay? And here's my music. So I've created this just by importing my audio or else recording my audio into WaveLab Cast. Yeah? So if I flick over here to our new template, there's those 3 tracks again. And they're all set up and ready to go. Yeah? And if I need more tracks, all I do is click plus and I add a track, a stereo track or a mono track. So what's the difference? So a stereo track is all the music that you're listening to every single day, all the TV you're listening to, all the content you're listening to. It's all stereo, okay? And then in other contexts, mono recordings. So that's like 2 left and right, okay? So the feed for each speaker is left and right. And that's stereo, okay? So let me just show you this, right? This is a stereo recorder. I've got 2 microphones. One microphone for the left, one microphone for the right. And that's probably opposite to what you're looking at, all right? But if I found myself with a microphone, a mono microphone, there's a mono microphone. And that needs a mono track, okay? So that's what we set up there, okay? We've got our host, who's, oh, you can't see that, so I'm going to flick over here like a good thing. Our host, see that? See that color there, or that little circle? That means it's mono. I'm going to add a stereo track. See the circle there in mono? And the 2 circles in stereo, which means I'm adding a stereo track, and now look at that circle is switched to there. So if I wanted to do anything, I'm double clicking on track 2 and I'm looking at music. Yeah? And now I have my music track all ready to go. Isn't that brilliant? And now I can start importing stuff, or I can start recording stuff in here. So let me just show you how to import something real quick, okay? So I'm going to show you how to go out and plug in a microphone or get a handheld recorder, or you found an audio file from the internet. Make sure that it doesn't get published if it's somebody's music. Be real careful of copyright and stuff like that, okay? It's funny because there's an awful lot of people out there, and, you know, they, through no fault of their own, they think they can just download a piece of music from somewhere. People own the music, okay? So just be careful of where you get your music. And tragically, these musicians need to eat and keep a roof over their head. They don't produce this for nothing. It's amazing. I know. How selfish can you be? You have to pay them for the use of their music, okay? So if you are using music, by all means, look into that, okay? Make sure that you're, you know, make sure that these people are getting rewarded for their hard work. It's like you going to work for 8 hours a day. Your employer or whoever pays you, whether it's yourself or an employer, you get paid for your work. People that create this music, they need to get paid as well, okay? And you don't want a lawsuit coming down you either, okay, in case somebody got irked. Do you know what I mean? Are the tracks able to bring in a stereo audio file? Totally. Sorry, Robbie, I'm getting away at myself here. So have a look at this. If I want to import a music track, I just right click there. I go to insert audio files and I can browse anywhere on my computer. Okay. And that'll give me anywhere I want. Imagine I downloaded something from the internet. There it is in my downloads folder. And I can pull it in there. Imagine I just pull that in there just for giggles. Create a mono track. Sorry, that was a mono file, right? I should have grabbed a piece of stereo music. But there it is. It grabbed the audio file, okay, and put it in there, okay? That was just the first audio file. Now, what do I do with this? Imagine it is a stereo music track. Let me just get a stereo music track just for giggles, right? We go to Browse. We go to Open File Selector. And I'm going to go to Music. And we'll go to, oh, this is a nice piece, okay? So we'll just grab that and yeah, we'll throw it in there. Why not? And then we just did that and we save that. And there's a piece of music in stereo. Now you see the difference. See, that's got two waveforms and this has only got one because this is stereo, okay? And this is mono or mono as they call it in many circles. So imagine we just double clicked on that. There's voice, so I know what I'm looking at, but they're both green. I don't like that green. What am I going to do? So I right click again, go to track color, and I go ding, change the color. And you can just grab these things and put them around wherever you need them. Okay, I want my host or my voiceover to go in here, and I'll be recording over my music there. Okay, little simple functions. See the way that changes as I run over my mouse? Okay, I'm just going to click and drag that down. See the waveform? That means that that audio file is getting louder and quieter. Okay, because my music here looks very loud in comparison. So let me just drag that down just for giggles. Okay, you can also do lovely things with this little yoke. See that? That's a fade in. So it's going from nothing into the music or into the voice. So see the way my cursor's changing all the time as I float around there. See that? Now I can nip off that. Maybe I just nip off the start there. I see that little bit of dirt there. Maybe I just nip that off as well and brought that in. Now we have a lovely smooth intro. Oh, fab. Okay. Can you guys hear that? Let me just grab my cans. WaveLab Cast podcast, and this week we'll be looking at how to clean up your recordings. Yes, those noisy. Okay, so that was a simple, super simple. Oh, by the way, there is loads of reverb on that audio file. It's not your ears. You're not going mad. That was the most simple edit ever. Okay, so I put my cursor here because I want this little piece of audio to go somewhere else. Okay, so let me just click on here and I go split, clip. I grab that and now I can throw that anywhere I want. Okay. So these are super simple functions just to get you going during the week when you start playing with it, when you start downloading the trial and having a little go. Because when you start cleaning up the voice recordings and you start playing with, oh, the other function I wanted to show you. You know when the voice is talking? Oh, way too much. I know it was an experiment, Robbie. It isn't an actual audio file that I'm dealing with. Let me just play this for you. Okay. So there's my intro. Let's have a look at this. Okay. Let me just play this. Hey, welcome to this week's WaveLab Cast podcast. And in this week, we'll be looking at how to clean up your recordings. Yes, those noisy interviews and those. Okay, so you're hearing the music underneath. Did you hear it dip down as soon as I started talking? Have another listen. Hey, welcome to this week's WaveLab Cast podcast. And in this week, we'll be looking at how to clean up your recordings. Yes, those noisy interviews. And that's called, WaveLab Cast does that for you. It's called ducking. And we will be looking at that as well, because it's a super handy function. If you're not used to mixing audio, okay, there's your voice going and your music underneath, and you have to mix your music in to sound correct for the interview or for the final master that you're producing, then you need to start mixing. But ducking does an awful lot of that work for you. That's what I'm saying. WaveLab Cast is brilliant like that, in that it helps you perform loads of functions that you know, as a non-professional or somebody starting out, takes care of all that work for you. Happy days. Okay, so we will be looking more in depth like that. Ducking, yes. What? Nice one, Robbie. So duck. Yeah, so how do you get audio in there? Basically, we imported that audio to our template. Can I just flick back here? Just to show you the other one that we'd be looking at. So if you did get a means of getting a microphone to your computer, and I'm just going to show you how to do that real quick before we finish up tonight, and how to plug in a microphone and what a microphone is and a lead and stuff like that. Just the really simple stuff. Okay. So, you can record into WaveLab Cast as well. Okay. So, look at the scenario. You have an interview for your podcast, or you want to record your podcast. So it's me talking about, I don't know, science. Okay. Love physics, love cosmology, right? So I want to put a podcast for cosmology together. Okay. So how do I go about it? Okay. So first things first, you get a piece of paper, as hard as it may seem, and you write your intro, and you write the intro music, and you just lay your little show out or your podcast out on a piece of paper. Okay? I'm going as quick as I can, Robbie. You go, oh, you can't even see me. What am I talking about? Let me flick over here. This is always the same way. Always the same way. I just get lost in this, and then I can't. Anyway, so first things first, organizing your podcast. Get a piece of paper, and I'll be saying this again and again and again and again, and just lay out like a wire diagram, okay? The running order of your podcast. It'll save you a huge amount of stress and editing and stuff like that, because you know exactly at this point is the start. I'll have some intro music, introduce the show, a little bit more music, and then we'll kick into the first interview or something, okay? I'll just put that down on a piece of paper, okay? I'll talk to you a little about putting a little diagram together for yourself, because when you see that, I have to record that, I have to record that, I have to record that, right? Now I have 3 things I have to record. 1 of them's a voiceover, 2 is an interview, and 3 is some sound effects. Right. Now it's all starting to make sense, and it's not all huge and big and stressful for you. You're just paring it all back and taking it nice and easy, and you go, all right, Tuesday's good for the interview, so let's go ahead and record the interview. And then Saturday, I've nothing on. The match isn't until 5 o'clock, so I'll go and I'll record some sound effects. And Sunday, it's easy Sunday, so I'll just sit down and I'll do my voiceover. It'll be all real mellow, okay? That's what we do. All right, brilliant. Let me just show you how to record into it. Imagine you just pulled up your laptop and you wanted to use the internal microphone just to get some noise in here to start, okay? 2 things to look at, okay? First things first, go to File and go to Preferences. And in Preferences, you get this thing called, what? He did it again. Right, here we go. It's just about I'm not a vision mixer in TV or something. You'd miss half the show, man. Anyway, so where did I go? I went to my workspace. I went to File. Okay, I went to Preferences, and in Preferences you see a thing called Audio Connections, okay? And by default it'll probably, if you've no other interfaces or any other microphones connected to it, it'll probably be built in or default, okay? But if you need to change that, you can click on, see all the different things that I can bring audio in and out on here. So because I need to send the signal from my WaveLab Cast to the stream, I'm personally going out of this one, okay? But in here, imagine I set up my Steinberg. That's my main interface in this studio. There's my stereo in for recording, and my playback is the output of my interface. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking to you about there, I'll show you now in 1 second. But that means that I've set up my in and my out to WaveLab Cast. And as I say, if you've nothing else sound-wise connected to your computer, it'll probably just see the default anyway. Okay, let's go back here. In my host mono file, I want to go and record. See this little button here? That's your record button. And you click on that, and now you're seeing all the inputs to your sound source. So if it's a USB microphone, you'll see it there. Okay, you click on that, you click on the record button, and it starts recording. Okay, now I'm just going to flick over here. You're not going to be able to hear this. That's the tragedy. I'm going to go over here, switch to my USB or to my UR28. Okay, that's because it's my microphone. Okay, I click record, and there I am recording. I'm going to mute the music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there's the reverby voice we brought in, and I'm just going to hit stop, and there's what we recorded. I click there, and you're not going to hear that, so I have to switch over to send it to you guys, so ignore me here. Imagine you're still on your own interface. Record, and there I am recording. I'm going to mute the music. 1, 2, 3. And what I did there, not to hear this track and this track, I clicked the mute buttons. And when I click mute, it turns off the audio on that track. And solo is, if I just wanted to hear that, I can click solo, and there I go. Look at that. Record. I'm only hearing that. Recording. I'm gonna. Okay. So those are super simple functions. Again, I can get in and I can decrease the volume of that. Or if I wanted to put a fade in there, imagine for some reason. Okay, let me show you what a fade is. Let me just play that. Recording. I'm gonna mute the music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's. So that's what we're referring to as a fade. Okay, it just gets quieter and quieter. You hear it on the end of music and stuff like that. Okay, brilliant. So how do you get a recording in the first place? That's you recording directly into your laptop or your desktop or whatever you're looking at. What do you need to record? Well, let's look at what they call an audio interface first. So imagine you had an audio interface, USB microphone, that you can plug in a guitar, your audio interface, you can plug in a microphone. Okay, let me just switch over here. I'll show you what an audio interface does. An audio interface, let me just grab my glasses because I won't be able to see this either. Now, there's an audio interface, and this box literally just connects up to your computer via USB. You can see that there. Okay, see that? That's your USB. You can't see that. There you go. Okay, and on here you got output left and right, and the output left and right are literally to your speakers. Okay, so if you had two speakers that you wanted to connect up to, they're the ones you connect up to your speakers or your amplifier. Okay, you can also plug in headphones here. Okay, so you can hear everything going on. Now I can plug in two microphones or two instruments in here, and if the microphone is too loud, I bring this knob down. Okay, see that? That's how much signal's going into the computer. So that's an audio interface. Super simple. So if I had an external microphone that I wanted to connect up to my WaveLab Cast, plug in my interface, go to File, Preferences, Audio Connections, and I'll see this UR22 Mark II in there. I select that. I select the input to the microphone, and you're away. You're recording. Okay? But what if I go out and record interviews? You can do that as well. You can bring your audio interface and your laptop with you, plug your microphone in, and you're away. Okay, you're recording directly into WaveLab Cast now. Okay? So, if you were the proud owner of one of these, which is a handheld recorder. So, you know, journalists and whatever, they're running around going, so, Minister, what do you think of such and such? And then they go, rah, 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 rah. Okay? You're recording to a thing in here called an SD card. Now, you've probably all heard of one of those. That's a little hard drive, okay? And with your SD card, you take it out of your handheld recorder. This is just one type, okay? There are tons of different types. There's a different type. Where is it? There it is. That's a stereo recorder, okay? But I can put external microphones in there. Zoom do one as well. The H4, H5 and H6, yeah? So there's lots of different types of handheld recorders. So you're literally going around blah, 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 and do your interview with that and blah, 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 and bring it home. You have all your lovely recordings on your SD card. Put that into your computer. Import them into your mono or stereo tracks. And then start editing. Bit of music. There you go. Right? Happy days. How hard was that? Really? Okay. Start with a map. That way you'll never where you're going. Lose where you're going. It can change, but start with a map. Come on, Robbie. Fair play to you. But he's right. He's totally right. You know, it doesn't have to be set in stone, that piece of paper. I mean, there will be things. Imagine you come home with a distorted interview. Now you got to go out and try and either clean it up or, I don't know, do the interview again. Okay? Some other stuff is coming as you create, and maybe a sound effect of something else will be really nice in there. So what we'll do is we'll go and record that. So here's another recording we put down on our sheet. Do you know what I mean? So it's all building, it's all building, it's all building. And you're getting a little more creative content. You gotta love it. So if I have a microphone, okay, I can plug this microphone into, and it goes for these microphones as well. Okay, see these microphones? Super, 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 absolutely super important. You know, I was saying you come home and your interview's all distorted. One thing that will really affect microphones is wind or air or people talking with plosives, P's and B's on microphones. Okay? So there's 2 or 3 little things you could really do, either if you have a handheld or you have a microphone for your interviews, including this. And that's get yourself, a windshield, okay, to cover the mic and protect it from wind noise, which is the bane of an awful lot of recorders' life. Because you go out and you record, you have your lovely new microphone, you think, oh, this is great, no problem. You put the microphone in front of somebody and somebody goes, pa, 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 and there's B's and P's all over it. So you can get a thing called a pop shield, which is this thing I have on this microphone. So all my P's and my B's are safe, okay? It doesn't wreck the recordings. But also if I'm recording outside, I'm going to put my microphone there for a second. If I'm recording outside, I can put this windshield on there, okay? Literally like that. And now there's no wind. Even on the stillest day, the smallest breath of wind can destroy your recordings. Okay? And the other thing I will suggest to you, if you do, isolating your microphones. Okay? You can get a handle for your recorders. See that? There you go. And that just takes all the movement noise through your machine and onto your recordings. It just loses those. Now we can go through these, and the community, you have to check out the trial version thing. Mon plaisir, Jérôme. Listen, Come back anytime. Give us the questions. We're all happy. Spit guard. Yeah, you don't want spit and everything going all over your microphones either. So if I do have a microphone, what do I do with it? Okay, so there's a couple of things. Let me just go over to the rostrum here real quick. There's a microphone. Here's a couple of things you might want to know. Now, this is a microphone, and this is a microphone lead. Okay, so it's this one. This is called an XLR. And that goes into a microphone, okay? So you plug that in there. Let me just get it in there, tickety-boo. And this end goes into your recorder or your interface. See that? That fits in there. Bit of light on there, Keith. Bit of light on there, Keith. There we go. And that goes in there, okay? And now this microphone is going to my computer. But there are different types of microphones, okay? Dynamic and condenser. So what I'm going to suggest, the difference is, and the only difference is, well, in a lot of cases, right? Some need power and some don't. And you might see this switch on the back of your interface, okay? And it says plus 48 volts. And that's the thing called phantom power. And that phantom power, literally, it's like putting a battery into your microphone and powering your microphone. Okay, so you flick that on and now your microphone is powered. So if you're having problems with a microphone not working, you might find that it could be the phantom power that's not switched on. And it's something to be super careful of. So we got our pop shield, we got our windshield for our microphone. Okay, the next thing is there's a shelf or a pad. You might see these on your microphones as well. So if the signal is too loud on your microphone, you could put on the pad. And that'll basically bring down the level of the microphone is recording at. Which means that if the signal is too loud, you're saving your recordings from distorting. Okay? So that's a pad. And you also might see a thing here, a shelf. Okay? And basically it's cutting. On this microphone, it's 75 and 150, which means that it's shelving all the kind of bass end stuff, building rumble, motorways in the distance, stuff like that that can muddy up recordings. And some microphones have those, and other microphones don't have those. Okay? So have a look at the kit that you're looking at currently. Do I need a microphone? If you're going out, please ask me. I know loads of stuff about loads of microphones and stuff. There's lots of USB microphones out there. There are lots of microphones full stop. There are lots of interfaces, tons and tons of handheld recorders. And they all do similar jobs, but they have an awful lot of function that they do in other stuff as well. So this recorder is really handy for around the table because not only can I record in mono, stereo and surround, put that in the middle of the table and you're catching everyone around the table. But what if I want to use this recorder to have two different type of microphones, two different presenters straight into this machine? So with your wire diagram, imagine you're sitting down to plan your, your show. And you go, intro music, intro VO, first interview, it's me and so talking. How do I need to record that? Now you're getting into the nitty gritty. And those questions, if you're lost on those, then you ask me. Do you have two microphones, two cables, two mic cables, and is it going into an audio interface with two inputs? That's going straight to your WaveLab Cast on your laptop. Or you're recording two microphones into a handheld with two inputs. Yeah. So it's all about the planning. It's very much about the planning. But we will talk about this further. And I want you to go and play with WaveLab Cast if you can. Because that's gonna bring a huge amount of questions to you. When you pick up a microphone or you pick up a handheld recorder. And you don't have to go and spend hundreds of millions of pounds on a handheld recorder tomorrow. Maybe one of your friends has one. Borrow it. Go out and record something. Literally just go out and record something. Take off the windshield, record something, put on a windshield, record something, and listen to the difference. And I will suggest, before you do anything, get yourself a serious set of headphones if you can. Because even with WaveLab Cast, you really need to be able to hear what you're listening to. Which means that with those buds that you're listening to, you can't hear the bass end or the lovely rich mid tones. Okay? You can't hear them. It's just not there at all. It's like watching a TV that only plays out blue colour. You're missing, most of the show. Do you know? So get a decent pair of headphones, if you possibly can, for anything you're doing in sound. Because, as I say to you, you need to be listening to what you're hearing. Okay? And if you can't hear really low-end frequency stuff that's killing your voice in the mix, or your music is very bassy and it's affecting the voice, and you can't hear how bassy it is, and you put that podcast out, again, your message is being lost. Do you know? Which is, after all your hard work, the worst thing in the world, you know what I mean? So, we're going to start wrapping this up. We have so much to do. It's not a stress. It's going to be fun. We're going to walk our way through it. What I'd love you to do is download it. Have a play. That's going to be Jerome, Robbie, Drafter. Where are you? Where are you? Wayne, of course. How could we not mention Wayne? Anam as well. Listen, thanks a million, lads, for taking the time to talk to us on the chat there. It's been way too short, way too fast. We got to do this more, So what we'll do is we can look at the features of WaveLab Cast again, okay? We'll get into a little bit more nitty-gritty as regards recording stuff. The situations you're recording in, okay? If you're having a problem with any of the gear, put it in the chat. Yeah? Put it in the chat and we'll iron it out here. Okay? So next month, when we do this next show, I'll come in and we'll put up the questions. Get that little piece of paper out just with the little questions. Put them to me and we'll go through them there. Yeah? Brilliant. Listen, lads, it's been such a joy. That was such a joy. I really, 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 really loved it. And I'm so glad you all came in here and took the time to, spend a kick back for an hour. You know what I mean? So it's been all good. Have a look at the download the trial. You'll have a bit of crack with it. It'll be all good. It'll be a bit of fun. And get yourself the, see what you can do about getting yourself a microphone. Even a USB microphone. And we can talk about microphones further. And we can talk about handheld recorders. And we can talk about mixing. We can talk about editing. And we can talk about all of these things. All right? We'll put up the notification for the next show. Okay? So you guys can just set a reminder for yourselves. And listen, we'll be talking to you sooner than later. Okay? That was pure joy, and thanks a million for joining me here. And hopefully we'll get a whole lot more done the next time. That just flew. Unbelievable. Anyway, was great fun. Thanks a million for joining us. And yeah, we'll be talking to you sooner than later. See you later. Bye-bye.